Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Dr. Jonathan Larson. He's with the University of Kentucky. He's extension entomologist there.
Right. I've been trying to warn people, it feels a little bit like Chicken Little, the sky is falling, but fortunately now we have to talk about that the spotted lanternfly is in the state of Kentucky. We have our first confirmed find in Gallatin County. It's important because it can cause some problems for some ag commodities, particularly grapes. In Pennsylvania, where this problem started, they've noticed that vineyards have suffered the most, sort of agriculturally, but it can get on apples and hops and peaches and a few other plants. But it's a big problem when it gets into cities and towns. It gets on trees and parks, in people's backyards. It breeds with abandon because it's an invasive species, and you get these huge clusters of 1.5 inch long, bright red and khaki colored insects, and they poop all over your yard. They smell bad. They don't bite or sting, but it's just sort of drastically reduces the pleasure that you might find outside.
And they come in great numbers,
yes,
right?
They reproduce very well because they don't have a lot of things that eat them here. There's not a disease that wipes them out. And they find lots of hosts that they can feed on here. Your maple tree in the backyard could be one that they would feed on. Their most favorite tree is Tree of Heaven, and unfortunately that's also pretty prevalent in the state. Right now they are adults, so the adults can be present from late fall into early winter. They'll be around even into December, and they are pretty big. Their front wings have stripes and then spots on them. They're kind of khaki colored. And then the back wings, there's a bright red streak with more sort of alligator sort of skin appearance on there. They look teardrop shaped if you look at them from the side. They kind of look like a big cicada with bigger wings. And you'll see them hopping around. They're a type of plant hopper, so they'll kind of hop and glide. Then you would be looking for the eggs. The eggs are put into this sort of putty-like material. It looks like mud. And it's going to be smeared on trees, on fence posts, on firewood, on tractors, on trucks and trains. Everything is basically game for them to lay those eggs on.
And so when people think they might see this, what do they need to do?
They need to report it. You'll see a lot of things in the news about maybe squishing it and destroying it. That's stuff that comes from the east where this is more prevalent. We would like to track it here. So for now, what we would like is if you could take a picture, see it, snap it, and report it. So then just send a picture and your location to reportapest@uky.edu. That will tell us to come out and take a look, evaluate your photograph as well to see if it is the spotted lanternfly or its eggs. And then we'll know what's happening better in the state. Then you can kill it. Then you can squish it after that. Yeah.
But right now, it's only been found in Gallatin County.
As far as we know, that's the only spot in Kentucky.
But the likelihood of it spreading to other parts of the state is high.
Yeah, very high, especially if there's any trains that are traveling through that county. The eggs could get laid on there, and then they could be delivered into other parts of the state. They won't hatch until spring, but they could fall off, or the goods that are delivered, the packaging, all of that stuff, could have eggs on it as well. And then they're just sitting there waiting for spring to come in order to get guests. Pennsylvania has instituted very strict quarantines in its state previously. Right now, we don't predict a quarantine being put in place in Gallatin County or in Kentucky. That doesn't seem like that's going to be the next step here. Instead, it's just going to be kind of a slow to spread monitoring program through citizen science, through kind of boots on the ground, people just telling us what they see and keeping track of it that way.
Now, are there any insecticides or any type of things that we can combat the spread?
Absolutely. So you can spray the nymphs and the adults with contact products, things that people might buy at the hardware store, your Sevens and your bifenthrin type products like that. But then professionally, you can have trees injected with an insecticide called dinotephuron. And once it gets in there, the tree will be systemically protected. The lanternfly pokes its needle-like mouth part into the plant, sucks sap out that has the product in it, and then they'll die. We have an emergency label for this pest, for that product here in Kentucky, and it covers all of their potential hosts. We don't want people to go out and start injecting their trees right now, especially if it's nowhere near your location, but it is something in the future that a local arborist could provide.
Well, do we only get one hatch or we have multiple hatches?
We have one hatch. So they produce that overwintering set of eggs, and then they hatch next year, and then they kind of develop as their nymphs as the summer goes on, and then towards the end, towards fall, that's when they become the full-fledged adults. They get their wings and they start the mating process. If you go to the entomology webpage through the College of Ag at UK, we have an INFACT on them, INFACT 465. It's all about spotted lanternfly. It shows what they look like, it shows some of the common lookalikes that they have, some native insects that they look very similar to, and it also has how to report it in there.
And if you have questions, make sure to contact your local extension office. Thanks for watching and have a great day.